I believe that what makes us uniquely human in the age of AI is not a technological question, it's a theological one. If AI can write sermons, if AI can write poetry, if AI can write books, if AI can write codes and build apps and build websites, what's going to be the most distinctly thing that can make you human? AI is created in the image of the programmer. So AI is created in the image of maybe the founders of ChatGPT or the founders of Claude or the founders of Gemini or Copilot. But we are created in the image of God. The worth of every human being is directly linked to the worth of God. Now, AI reminds us of this truth powerfully because the more impressive AI becomes, the more obvious it is that only something made in God's image can stand in awe of creation and worship the Creator. One of the things about Imago Dei is the creativity. One of the reasons why man won on earth is because man was created in the Imago Dei of God. Not motivation, not hype, but real clarity. Hi, welcome to another 20 Minutes with PKay episode. It's always a pleasure to be with you every single week. We come to you with what we believe insights and wisdom that can aid you to navigate in life. One of the things that we have come to realize is the fact that we're living in probably the most astonishing and what they call something unprecedented times. You understand? I mean, recently I got to hear that the leaders of the three top AI companies, the Anthropic, Cloud, ChatGPT, and Gemini, they went to meet the president of the United States, and they told him, said, in 2 years, AI will probably be more intelligent than human beings. So that got me thinking, and that got me making sure that I'm asking myself. I said, what does so if AI can write sermons, if AI can write poetry, if AI can write books, if AI can write codes and build apps and build websites, what's going to be the most distinctly thing that can make you human? So the question is, what makes us human in the age of AI? What distinctively makes us human in the age of AI? And this question goes on to how we would address things like identity, dignity, creativity, the worth thing, how would address things like justice, ethics, and everything that would be coming out. What's consciousness in the age of AI? And that began a thought process in my mind. And I began to ask myself, I said, if AI can do many things that we're probably doing today, then how relevant will people be for the last 200 years? I mean, industrial revolution has made it easy for us to define ourselves by our productive worth, by the things that we produce. So we went to school, we became lawyers. So we had cultural identities. We had, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, you understand? I would build our identities like that. Now, the question is, if I could do those things that I've probably gone to school to spend 4 years to do, 5 years to do, then where does it leave humanity? Where does it leave us? Where does it leave? What questions does it leave us? If the most brilliant ones of us were writing poems, we're writing books, or we're writing songs, that AI can do all that thing, probably even better than we're doing. So how would we have our worth? What will make us worthy? What will make us think about dignity, the dignity of labor, you understand? What will make us think about the ability to exercise processes, you understand? So those are the things that are just in my mind. And I'm just saying to myself, I said, there will be a major crisis very soon. There will be a human crisis very soon. And I mean, I told one of my daughters in church, that pastor, I said, she read counseling. I said, why don't you position yourself as a clinical psychologist? Because there will be a lot of clinical psychological cases, because a lot of people will need to understand. Because when AI takes your job, I mean, someone sent me something. He said, I think it was General Motors that disengaged with 1,000 people in America and brought in 50 robots to do the job of 1,000 people. I mean, I was discussing with the family, and the husband was trying to tell the wife, he said, your job is gone in the age of, your job is gone. Better position yourself better, So you're hearing things like that. So, but in the midst of all these upheavals and those positioning, how do we position you so that you can be a step ahead of the trend? And how do I make sure that you're not going to be a product of the influence or the impact of AI, but you're going to be a creator in the days of AI, you understand? So, now, I mean, this question is echoing in bedrooms, in boardrooms, in universities, So if machines can think better, if machines can create faster, if machine can work cheaper, so what makes human unique anymore? You understand? Because if we cannot answer that question, what makes human unique anymore, probably have a generation of young people that will be afraid because your mind will be that I'm going to go be obsolete very soon. And you understand? And so my job here today is saying you're not going to be obsolete, you're going to be irreplaceable. You understand? We're going to be irreplaceable. I mean, the things are where I can diagnose disease. You understand? There was a day I had a pain at the back of my leg or the back of my sciatica, and I went to do an MRI, and I saw the MRI. I didn't need the doctor to interpret it for me. I just put it to ChatGPT. ChatGPT explained it to me. This is what you should do. This is what you should do. By the time I was seeing the doctor, and the doctor was saying everything he wanted to say, you know, and I said, well, ChatGPT had already told me that, you know, so they can diagnose disease. They can tell you, you understand. And I mean, they told me if you want to be free from it, this is what you should do. This is what you should do. This is what you should avoid. And I mean, I did this, and I became better. So I believe that what makes us uniquely human in the age of AI is not a technological question, it's a theological one. And the question is what makes you. What makes you? What makes you distinct? What makes you unique? So I'll talk to you about some points and I will just leave you like that so that you can keep thinking about it. Number one, what makes us unique is that we're created in the image of God, the Imago Dei. You understand? We are created and we have the stamp of divinity upon ourselves. Now, what separates us from AI is not intelligence. What separates us from AI is not the ability to be fast, because AI can do faster calculations than us. I mean, AI, put AI to calculate billion things, AI will calculate it. So it's not intelligence. You understand? But what separates us is the Imago Dei, the fact that we're made in the image and the likeness of God. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 7. AI is created in the image of the programmer. So AI is created in the image of maybe the founders of ChatGPT or the founders of Claude or the founders of Gemini or Copilot. But we are created in the image of God. So why AI can process data, you carry divine dignity. You carry divine dignity. And that's why you must start from a base level that every human being, inclusive of you, you have intrinsic worth. And that intrinsic worth is an infinite worth. It's from newborn baby to the elderly woman in the village. You understand? No AI system would ever have inherent dignity. So you can shut down the server, you can, and it still work. But your value is eternal. Your value does not be. Your value is not is subject to the fact that somebody shuts it down. You understand? So do not forget. Now, it was the late British theologian John Scott who said the worth of every human being is directly linked to the worth of God. Now, AI reminds us of this truth powerfully, because the more impressive AI becomes, the more obvious it is that only something made in God's image can stand in awe of creation and worship the Creator. You know, so you have to understand that what makes us uniquely us, what makes us unique, what makes us human beings. I mean, that means that the things that we've been driving our lives, or the mirrors that we're using to pursue ourselves, are not really what the things that we should do. You understand? What makes you uniquely human is you, and the fact that the image of the Creator is stamped upon you. So, I mean, that's one reason why we should be on the lookout for the image, the Imago movement, you understand? But building the Imago movement, because I believe that this Imago movement will be the one that would be in a position to help the world in this time. And this, when we're going to help the world, we're going to help the world in the sense that a lot of people will have this. I mean, like I said, it's going to be a major human crisis, a major human crisis. And because of that major human crisis, we've got to find out how to resolve it. And there's the only way we can resolve it is to remind men and human beings that they were created in the image of God, and they were the Imago Dei. You understand? So now let's leave it like that. So let's go to the second thing that makes us uniquely human. Number two is that we have the breath of God. You understand? We have a living soul and we have consciousness. That's important. You understand? AI will never have consciousness. AI has no breath. AI can use electricity as electricity. Yeah, you understand? But you and I have the breath of God, you understand? And you know the Bible says that, I think in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, it said, and God breathed into man, and man became a living soul. And you see, in the process of his soul that man has, the Raush, that's the Hebrew word, the Raush. In the for the man had, you understand, man has the ability to do fact that because man has a soul, you understand, the man is just not like any other being, any other animal. So we're not in the class of animals, we're in the class of God. You know, no matter what your biology teacher teaches you in school, you understand? I mean, you're in the class of God. So it tells you how that breath really, because the mystery of man is not just the fact that man was created by hands, but also the fact that man was breathed into by by the divine being himself. And when it be breathed into man, man became a living soul. And that means that, that tells me why a lot of people are unhappy. They're unhappy because our soul is from God. We have a connectivity to God, and that connectivity can only be satisfied. It's a God-shaped part of us that can only be satisfied by God Himself. So if we live our lives devoid of God, we will live our lives devoid of happiness, and that's just the truth. Whenever you see people have this kind of challenges, you now begin to understand why it's important and imperative that they understand what it is to have consciousness. What does it mean to have? You understand? What does it mean to have a soul? I mean, I was there was this Harvard theologian, Harvard Medical School neuroscientist who had a medical Dr. Iben, who had a medical problem and was brain dead. You understand? His brain had no activity for 7 days. In that 7 days, there was something he said. Dr. Iben Alexandra, there was something that happened to him. He now began to. He said in that 7 days he went to heaven. So that was when he wrote the book, The Pool of Heaven. You know, he now said he went to heaven, and some of the things he saw were these that he started talking to God. But it's this time that there were many, they were monitoring him on the bed, on the what do you call it, hospital bed. That it was instead of coma, virtually brain dead, was in coma. You understand? But they were even thinking of where to take up the machines and probably just declare him dead. You understand? And then he came back to life. So, but you know, said he had a dream of heaven. He was in heaven, but there was no movement of the brain. There was nothing. So that means that there was a consciousness that the brain and the machines could not capture. And that's amazing. You understand? I mean, he went on to write about that there's a proof of life. So it's consciousness. So that AI has no consciousness. AI has no breath. AI has electricity, but it has no breath. You know. So this thing is what gives us self-awareness. This is what gives us moral intuition, the ability to know right from wrong, even when no one is watching. So we all know what is right, what's wrong, and the capacity. And this thing is what also gives us the capacity for genuine love. So we can really love people. I mean, why would you love someone? So at times, I mean, you had the story of a man who was the prince, what do you call it? The former king of England, King Edward, who vacated his throne because of the divorcee. He left the throne. So even Harry left the glamour of the British monarchy and said, okay, you know what, I'm going to follow this woman out. You understand? I mean, how can you explain love, if not for the fact that you know that we have a soul, that we have something that's connected to something different? You understand? So I can write love letters in seconds, but only a human being can stay awake in the middle of the night praying for a child who is not feeling well. You understand? Only a human being can forgive. Only a human being can look at someone who has tried to hurt you, who has tried to anything to you, and I forgive you. You know, and that's why I say that only a human being can actually worship in spirit and in truth. So in the age of AI, it's important that you and I become guardians of soul care. You understand? While the world changes artificial intelligence, we must cultivate authentic spirituality. You understand? I mean, I shared in church one day, I said, I'm not, I'm not, I'm not in the business of writing beautiful sermons any longer. You understand? I mean, you can see many books here. There's some books everywhere in this studio. I'm not in the business of writing books. Yes, I still read them. I'm not in the business of writing books. On my laptop, there are probably like 5,000 books. I'm not in, I mean, I'm amazed that AI would defeat me in the scheme of writing sermons, But I said that AI can never bring out the presence of God. AI can never worship God in spirit and in truth, and that makes us unique. And that tells me some things has really happened. You understand? I mean, the angels can excel in strength. You understand? But God still decided that it was a human being he wanted to fellowship and react with and relate with. So that makes me know that human beings are peculiar people. At the age of AI would explain and expound our peculiarity. Now, the third point I want to also say now is the fact that we have creative dominion and we have moral agency. You understand? Now, when God created the earth. He gave human beings dominion. In so Genesis chapter 1 verse 20 says, shall they have dominion over the earth? And AI is part of that dominion. AI is one of the things that we created as part of our dominion. So AI cannot dominate us. We're the ones that created this part of things. Like so AI creates by recombining existing data. But human beings create ex nihilo, that's from scratch, out of nothing, out of the overflow of imagination given by the creator. So, I mean, I look at the creator. It's the Bible says that in the beginning, God created the heavens. The first mention of creator, first mention of God in the Bible is that He was a creator God. So that means that we're in the area. Despite the fact there's so much chaos and disorder, that what will not happen is that our creative tendencies will not become the most important thing. I mean, something blew my mind recently. The School of Hard Knocks, they used to do, I mean, I don't know if you saw that. They used to do interviews. The guy would go around do interviews with people. And when they interviewed Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, and he asked Aliko Dangote, do you believe in God? He said, yes, I believe in God. He said, I am the proof. I mean, I went into church and I told my church people, I said, if Aliko Dangote could prove that God is alive, then you and I will have to prove that Jesus is alive. Now, our lives must be the living proof, you understand, that Jesus is alive. That we must be the physical manifestation, the expression, the theoretical agreement and end of discussion that Jesus is alive. You understand? That's the infallible proof that we are alive. So, I mean, it was, and I said that accounts, the Imago Dei accounts for how Dangote has been able to build a refinery that probably reversed 40 years of problems in Nigeria. And I said to myself, man, there was a day I woke up and I said to myself, you know what? If Dangote, one single man, could reverse 40 years of misfortune of a country, then that means that it's possible that one man can also reverse the remaining misfortune of corruption, of lack of integrity of the land. You understand? The land, the what do you call it? The the weightless, the aimlessness of a country, the meaninglessness that's going on, the absurdity that is going on, the foolishness that is in high places. So I just said to myself, I said, one man can do that. Mahatma Gandhi was one man who brought out the British Empire. So, I mean, I can tell you about world-class examples of how Beethoven composed the Ninth Symphony while going deaf, driven by passion and suffering. And an African mother who probably lost everything in the war will still sing a new song of hope, you understand? And the young entrepreneur in our church who turns nothing into a business that employs many, many people. So AI cannot dream eternal dreams. AI has no moral agency. AI cannot choose to fast and pray for today's. He cannot lay down his life for his friends. And that's why we must raise the new generation as we're doing the portals of young people who are spiritually awake, creatively explosive, and morally courageous, who use AI as a tool while refusing to bow to it as a god. And the final thing that makes you unique, which I want to talk about, is the eternal destiny and redemptive love. Now, AI has no soul to save, but you do. And AI will never stand before the judgment seat of Christ, but you and I will. Jesus did not die on the cross for machines, but He died for you. He died for me, because your own soul is of infinite value. In the age of AI, the gospel becomes even more beautiful. While everything can be replicated, grace cannot. Forgiveness cannot. The cross cannot. The empty tomb cannot. The most powerful response to AI, therefore, is not fear. It's worship, the worship of the King. And when the world bows down to artificial intelligence, the church must rise in authentic devotion to the living God. So listen to me, everyone listening to me. The world may be trying to reduce your productivity to your followers, amount of followers, or your data plans, or your data points. But the Heavenly Father says to you that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. So you are not data, you are destiny. You are not code, you are called. You are not artificial, you are anointed. So in the age of AI, the church who knows who she is the most influential force on earth. And therefore, for us as a church, we always say that in the next 5 years, we're going to be the most influential and powerful church. So I just said to myself, I said, maybe that the reason why is because the church that really knows what it is to be human, be able to meet it this time. So if you have been feeling worthless, I think, or anxious about the future, or tempted to bow down to technology instead of God, I think it's time to come forward to God so then begin to speak to Him, because you want the breath of God to refresh you and let your soul come back afresh. You want to dedicate your gift, your calling, and your future to the glory of God in the age of AI. And I think this is our moment. You understand? So may the God who breathed life into a human being on the day of creation, may He also breathe into your spirit. And may you walk in the dignity of the Imago Dei, the creativity of dominion, and the love of the Father who calls you His own. in Jesus' name. And that's one of the reasons why I will not leave here without letting you know that this is probably your most beautiful moment on earth. That when the world enters into darkness, the Bible says that upon you light shall arise. I think because the Lord is afraid of what's going to go on. But I think it's time that all of us with authentic devotion can rise up and begin to worship God again. So what does makes you human in the age of AI is the Imago Dei. The fact that you were created in the image and likeness of God. And you see, the journey of image is the journey from image to likeness. I'm sure, like, if you can go back to all our past videos, I begin to see how we journey from image to likeness. We journey from image to likeness. And when we get to likeness, we cannot transform society back again. And I think that it's time for us to do that again. It's time for us to begin to think about that again. It's time for us to begin to look at it again. To be able to say, okay, this is what we should do in our time, such as this. Wow, have you been blessed by this? If you have been blessed by this, please share widely. It helps the algorithm. It helps keeps us online. You understand? I mean, I was telling them in church. I said I have to raise up a group of support systems. So just keep the shows online because it costs a lot of money to do the videos and to post them online and to let you know that we're still available to make sure that you have the best insight. That no matter what's going on, we can make sense of everything. We can make sense of the chaos in the land. Because God has a plan for you. God has a future for you. You are called. You are not a code. You are called. And like I said, you are not a data. You are destiny. And you are not artificial. You are what? You are anointed. You are anointed for signs and you are anointed for wonders. And I think in Romans chapter 8, verse 19, it says that the earnest expectations of the creatures are waiting the manifestations of the sons and daughters of God. So it's time for you to face your calling because creation is waiting for you. It's waiting for all of us. It's time to manifest. God bless you. See you same time next week. One of the things about Imago Dei is the creativity. One of the reasons why man won on earth is because man was created in the Imago Dei of God. Not motivation, not hype, but real clarity.